starting in just a minute, so be patient. We're trying to let some people get on here and get on the live. So if you got questions, let us know, and then we'll try and hit them as we go. What up, everybody? Nikki's coming. He got lost. He must have went to the bathroom and lost his way back, but he's coming. Wait, be patient with us. Did you get lost going to the bathroom or what?
No, my moral compass is so screwed up. I was trying to find my way to the parking lot.
That's where I'd be going. It's Friday.
Oh, good to see you, buddy. I haven't talked to you for a while.
Yeah, about 10 minutes. Look at these new Seekins hats. These are nice, huh?
They are nice. How'd you get those?
Oh, guy I know. I might have one for you.
I thought I knew a lot of people until I met you. You actually know a lot more people than I do.
I just bullshit people. I buy it and tell people I know who they are. No, Seekins has been good to us. They send all their Havoc people over to us so we can do prefits for them.
Yeah, I've had probably 10 people call just this week that were referred over by Seekins. In fact, I just processed an order for another 6 GT before I got on here for one.
There you go. Good guys
Lots
over
of
there.
hits.
Glenn and the boys are good people. I like them. Worked with them for a long time.
Glenn's a
Looks
good
like
dude.
we've got a bunch of people over on Instagram joining. Thanks for joining us. Hey, we need to grow our Instagram, by the way. So invite some of your friends over there to join it. Maybe I'll send you something if I see you doing it. Today we wanted to hit. So we're going to SHOT Show next week. So next week's kind of going to be I don't know. Maybe we'll do one night and kind of talk. I don't know. You guys let us know what we should do. We can sit down and maybe I can bring a couple people over to the room and we can maybe do a live and just BS with some people about what they've seen and what they think. But I don't know. Let us know what you think. But we're leaving Monday. We'll be gone all next week with SHOT. So we'll be out of the office. So if you're looking for us, we might be a little bit harder to get, but I'll try and keep up on the emails and stuff. Um, we wanted to talk about match chambers and the voodoo magic behind some of the bullshit we've seen lately. There was one company that I know in the industry that came out with this new acronym that they were building the best. I've seen actually two or three do it, but the straightest straightest chambers ever, and no one could surpass these, and they were just the best thing ever. And I just sit and scratched my head like, do people buy this? But apparently they do. Um, you know, the thing is we've had the ability to do extremely, you know, accurate rifles, accurate barrels for a long time. A lot of the things are the tolerance stacking and everything else. But um, Nick kind of wanted to talk about it and educate some people, because that's what we're trying to do, is educate and instruct. And no matter who you go to, don't let them bullshit you. So I'll let Nick kind of explain his thought process behind this. And if you do have questions, make sure you answer them. I'm watching them. At least I'm trying to. So ask away.
Uh-oh. I think we might have a connection problem. Are you getting me okay over here, Cole?
Yep, you came back. You disappeared for a minute. You're back now.
Okay. Not sure what's going on. Yeah. So I watch a lot of videos just in the middle of the night when I can't sleep. But I try to see what other people are doing. There's a lot of new techniques. I don't even want to call them new techniques. There's not a lot of new ways to do it. There's different ways of doing it, and to be honest, the right way is probably the way that works best for you as a manufacturer or as a gunsmith, depending on your operation and how you're doing things. And in the past, Straight Jacket Armory has done a lot of coaching for other companies to kind of up their game. And a lot of companies have done things the way we're doing them, which is fine. And we've copied other people's things, which is fine also. That's just part of competition. It's part of what delivers better products to market. But there was one company in particular I was watching on Monday that kind of prompted this video. And the guy was dialing in, and he was trying to explain when he was setting headspace. He put in his go gauge, the bolt closed. He puts in his no gauge. He says, and now it shouldn't close. And the bolt falls closed. He goes, yeah, that's just where I want it. So when I torque it up, it won't close. Well, then he torques it up and the bolt still closes. And he kind of shifts the video to, well, this isn't a match chamber. This is a hunting chamber, and the customer, we wanted the headspace to be a little loose so that he could shoot any kind of ammo. And going further into that video series, I noticed there's about 3% of the people that are kind of calling him out, but there's about 97% of the people that are like, holy crap, dude, can you build my next rifle? Headspace does absolutely nothing. Yeah, there you go. Does absolutely nothing for accuracy. I mean, it's not even measurable. Uh, I mean, I know people think it might, and once a case is fire formed, generally you get a little bit better SDs out of it, but it's so unnoticeable. I don't know, that's definitely not what makes a match chamber a match chamber. There's tooling involved. Uh, the chamber being indicated right is different. I've seen several websites where people are charging $350 for a chamber job and $450 for a quote match chamber job. And here's the deal: they're going to use the same reamer whether they no matter what, right? It's not like this 308 reamer here is going to somehow be better if I call it a match chamber and you pay me an extra $100 for it. Let's face it, in my personal humble opinion, the advertising of a match chamber, and we do it too. We have keywords on our website that are designed to bring you guys over. We put match grade chambers on there too. I think we all do, but it's not coming from the reamer itself as much as it is from the precision that goes into dialing that barrel in. And I mean, you could put a match or a custom chamber like this. I have a 30 by 47 Lapua reamer here that is used for one of my bench rest shooters that has a tight neck on it, which means you'd have to turn your necks. I guess you could call this a match chamber. I also have a 308 JGS reamer here that says 308 match on it. And then I have this one here that just says 308 SAMI spec. And if I put both of these on the optical, and compare them to the prints that were sent with the reamer, there is nothing different between these two reamers. Not a damn thing. So I know that's kind of like, oh, holy crap, wait a minute, maybe I don't have a match chamber. I need to get one. A match grade barrel has a lot more facets to it than just the chamber. It has more facets to it than just the barrel. In order to achieve match grade accuracy, bore alignment, tolerances, indicating the throat, all those things have to come into play. It's not just one thing. Kind of like a pistol barrel. I know Cole, like me, started shooting pistols and ARs, before he got into the bolt guns. You were more of a 3-gun guy, weren't you?
Hell
No?
no.
You didn't do any of that? I did a
Nah.
lot of that. And we would buy, match barrels for our Glocks. And when you compare a match barrel to a factory barrel, the only thing that's different is the exterior of the chamber, so that it's locking up in battery in the same place every time. It's usually not what you think it is. So, like, with that being there, I mean, I could use a match reamer or something that says match on it and cut an ugly broached ass chamber in there, and is it still a match chamber? Or if I, cut the headspace a little tighter, does that make it a match chamber? I honestly think there's so many acronyms out there, patented technology, and none of it's actually doing anything to be more accurate. One of my really good friends, longtime gunsmiths, was over here at the shop. I think it was Tuesday, and we were kind of bullshitting about kind of the evolution of the businesses and how we used to just, you go above and beyond and you do all this stuff, and then you take it down a notch and you go test, and you take it down another notch and you go test, and you realize pretty soon that a lot of the stuff that you were doing as a smith, as a builder, yielded really no results at the end. It just made you slower and made it so that you couldn't get work out because you were dumping extra time into things that didn't matter. I think there's just so much of that out there. What do you think, Cole? I mean, like, so you've seen a ton of different shops and the way they cut chambers, and everybody does it kind of different.
Yeah, everybody does. And I mean, they kind of learned it. They passed some things down, from whoever they learned. In the last shop, he learned from somebody at um, another big gun company. And then he kind of took it and made a few small changes to his. And I mean, everybody's using the same reamers for the most part. I mean, there's only maybe 3 or 4 companies that make reamers. One, I don't even know if they make the right reamer half the time. We won't say who that is, but there's a couple of them, and that's all there is. I mean, they're the only ones that build it. I mean, Alpha is probably the newest one to offer anything as far as reamers, but the other ones have been around forever. I mean, you've got what are the reamers? You've got Climber, JGS, Manson, PTG, and Alpha, right? Is that it? Is that
There's some custom tool makers out there. I've actually played with a couple of them to have different types of reamers made and different coatings put on. But reamers are tough to make, and that's the hard thing about the gun industry, with the only 4 mainstays in the industry. And Climber, gosh, you never hear anything about Climber anymore. Probably get chastised for saying that, but you don't have a lot of options. It's not like an end mill where I can go online and go to like MSC Direct and type in 1/4 inch 3 flute end mill, and 24,000 results show up between different, rake angles and, radius coatings. I mean, there's just so many different options, and you can get real specific to what you need. Where, with JGS, it's, do you want carbide or would you like high speed steel? Can I get that coated? What? I mean, don't get me wrong. JGS makes a great product. We use the heck out of them. I think Alpha, this is an Alpha reamer here, one of the ones that they made for us. That was kind of a custom design. Another 308 reamer. This one does not say match on it, but I would say it would make a match grade chamber. You can notice that it has a very different appearance to it than the JGS that I'm holding below it because it has a coating on it that they refer to as stealth coating.
Mhm.
They won't tell us exactly what that is. I believe it's a titanium nitride type coating. I'm not sure which one, but these reamers are uh, they've been spectacular for us, especially for the guys that are using the alpha brass. But making that match chamber, it really has to do with us doing our job on our end and you doing your job on your end and using the correct components, reloading correctly, doing things like not over bumping your brass, things like that, fire forming it right. That's where all the magic happens. A partnership between us and you. It's not just us and it's not just you. It's both of us.
Adam asked over on Instagram. He said, "My father called a barrel company in West Virginia, and they told him they could cut and long chamber a 204 barrel for his Remy 700 action. It will be up to his gunsmith. The head's what the hell's a long chamber, Nick?"
Well, I think what Adam's referring to. Well, there's something to this. Okay, so 20 years ago, we used to buy short chambered barrels, right? Where you'd buy a barrel for like a Remington 700, and the chamber was cut about 50 thousandths or 75 thousandths short, and you would actually screw that barrel and action together. And they had these Manson and PTG used to make these pull through reamers where you'd actually put the reamer in, push it with the bolt, you'd screw a rod into the end of your barrel, and you'd pull and turn and finish the chamber out that way. And that was once the bolt shut, that's where you were. It was kind of a neat little deal for people who were, but trying to fix up their old Enfield .6 or their old Remington 700. Now, long chambering, I've heard a little bit about this. I've personally never done it. What a lot of times they'll do is they'll thread. I have a fake chamber here, but they'll thread it back here. They'll put the shoulder on it, and they'll run the chamber in like 15, 20 thousandths too far, and they'll send it to your gunsmith, and he will fit it by moving this surface here and the shoulder back until it brings the headspace into where it's supposed to be. Or he could be talking about having a longer throat put in. We do a lot of custom throating here for people that want longer or shorter freebores, and that would be everything's backwards in my camera. It'd be this section of the chamber here where we go in with like a chucking reamer and push that forward so that you can like seat your bullets out a little bit longer. So I'm not too sure, and I'm also not too sure why you'd long throat a 204, but
Yeah, he said it was. He said cough cough Douglas barrel, so that kind of says a little bit. But
man, Douglas was everything when I was a kid. That's all you heard about was Douglas air gauge barrels. They were amazing. I just don't know that they've done a lot lately to keep up. We've had that conversation on this program before.
Yeah. Some of these older companies that have been around forever that built the best freaking barrels out there, and me and Nick have had this conversation, and we could go down a rabbit hole here, but they've built the best thing forever, but they just don't want to change. They don't want to evolve. We're dealing with a couple of companies right now that don't want to change twist rates. And we're not trying to say, well, your twist rate's wrong. That's just what everybody wants. And that's the problem, is the education out there says they have to have a 7.5 twister. It's not going to work. Okay. What's the difference between a 7 and a 7.5 to most people? No one would ever know the difference because you can't really measure it, but that's what people want. And a lot of these older companies don't want to change. They've built their products. They've built their buttons, their cut rifles. They've done it for the same way forever, and they just don't want to change. And that's fine if that's the way they want to do, but it just makes no sense if they want to keep up with the times. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and there's still a market for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's still a market for that, and but the market has evolved so fast over the last 5 years. Cole and I were just talking last night. Man, we got to come up with some new stuff. Like 7 years ago, we were cutting edge because we were doing all these pre-fit barrels and nobody had ever heard about it before. And
you
now
were dangerous.
Oh, we were very dangerous. Yeah, we were going to kill people. But now we're sitting here going, gosh, everybody's doing that. We we're gonna have to step it up here at Straight Jacket Armory. Like start putting out, get people excited about what we're doing here again, or at least educate the people that have just found us about what we do, because we are constantly evolving, and it's hard to get your suppliers to evolve with you sometimes. It's kind of the reason SHOT Show's around, is for us to sit down with these companies and shake hands and have these discussions about why we need this stuff and why we think it's important.
Yeah, there's been a lot of changes going on around here, and you guys will all start to see them come out here and there. And I think there are a lot more good things have come out about Straight Jacket, and this has a lot to do with it because if you look through the negative stuff that you see online about Straight Jacket, you never see anything about bad work ever. There was just some other issues that's been taken care of, and it's business and it happens, but you've never seen anything negative about the quality of work. At least I haven't, and I've looked and I've looked and I've looked. So that's something you need to think about. HW Guns and Tactical, and we've done some stuff with these guys, and I think they do some barrels and stuff. Um, I wonder which cartridge. Oh, we can go down a rabbit hole on this one. I wonder which cartridge chamber has the most variants. Which chamber do you have the most variants for them? Frickin' SS Sherman damn things. Holy shit.
Rich is watching this, and he's gonna throw
I
up.
hope so, because
No.
this freaking A, B, C, F version reamer crap
Well, hang
has gotten
on.
expensive.
I'm gonna defend Rich a little bit, because for you guys that don't know, the SS is a Sherman cartridge, and Rich, what he's essentially done is improve the SOM line. So it's he's gonna get mad at me for saying this, but it's basically like an Ackley improvement for magnums. But he's done a lot of work getting headspace brass, reamers, making sure that gunsmiths had what they needed to do it. Is it expensive? Yes, it's expensive. But there's a problem. There was a problem with the variants, and it didn't come from Rich. The problem actually came from, I'm not going to say their name, but their initials are ADG.
Why you gotta start shit? We talked about this.
Oh, well, it's everybody knows it. It's all over the place. Gunworks was their first big, you know, brass contract. Gunworks asked for the SOM brass to be spec'd smaller in the web back here. So they did that for them. I'm not sure why Gunworks wanted that. It doesn't matter. Uh, the problem was, when Rich designed his reamers, they were spec'd off the 7 SOM case, like anybody else would make it to SAMI specifications, or what they call SAMI minimums. And the brass being undersized, you had to be very careful fire forming. If you put a full charge in it right away, you were likely to lose the primer pocket. You had to do a moderate charge the first time around, and then load it to full tilt the second time. If you did that, most people didn't have any problems at all. Very, very few. But as Rich's company got bigger, there was just enough problems coming up from it that he had to choke the reamer down. So what they did was they basically made this dimension back here, they made this dimension a little bit smaller so that the brass wasn't expanding so much. And yes, it was expensive for everybody, consumers, gunsmiths, and it was very expensive for Rich. Rich lost a lot of money making that correction, but that's part of business, and it's part of evolution, and it's part of evolving your product and making it better. We've had those mistakes here for sure, where we look back at what we did and thought, man, I don't think that's right. We need to do this better. And every time we do that, it's painful. It costs money, usually money you don't have, and it takes a lot of time, but it's a very necessary part of the evolution of these cutting edge products. So
Mhm.
I mean, my hat's off for Rich. I mean, in all honesty, I think he's the only one since P.O. Ackley, and maybe John Lazzaroni, that's really worked towards that side of the wildcat things. Maybe Phil McPherson, but those were the guys that us old school guys, if you can call me that, really remember. I don't know of anybody else that has taken on that type of an undertaking, had brass made, has dies made, has people, big manufacturers like Hornaday making parts and stems and collets for him. I applaud Rich for what he's doing. It's not easy, definitely not easy. But yes, Cole's right. We have a slug of reamers, like a whole damn drawer full, because of all the different variations. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's hurt the old pocketbook to say the least. They're not cheap.
But we do cut a lot of them. We thank Rich for the business for sure.
Yeah, it's been it, but here's another thing for y'all to think about is it's amazing how many gun plumbers are out there. And by gun plumbers, I mean, and I found one when I was in Texas a while back. It's where I asked them, I'm like, do you guys do your own chamber work? These are yeah, that it's not that, but I'm like, do you guys do your own chamber work? Oh no, we just buy prefits from so and so, and then we buy actions from so and so, and we buy this, and then we screw them together and we sell them as a custom rifle. And it's amazing to me how many people out there are actually doing this. Now I've seen and I've heard a couple different companies that will buy a proof prefit. They'll sand the proof lettering off of it. They'll engrave their own shit in it, screw it on, and hey, they've got a custom rifle now that they never even have the machinery or anything to fix. And that's one of the issues when you buy something for somebody like that and you have an issue, you're stuck. Like there's nothing you can do. So if you're listening and you're going to go out and you're going to buy a custom rifle, make sure that whoever you buy it from is actually building the rifle. Ask them a few questions. Hey, what machines are you using? What reamer are you, just ask them a few of those little questions and it'll kind of cement in your brain like they either know what they're talking about or they're full of shit and they're gun plumbers. They're not gunsmiths, they're gun plumbers. We call them that all the time.
And there's nothing wrong with being a gun plumber. I mean, we cut barrels for what, like 20, 25 other companies.
Mm-hmm.
But these guys will let you know, they'll let you know, and we'll back
Mm-hmm.
those products up.
Mm-hmm.
So if they call us and say, "Hey, I got a customer, he's having a problem," we're going to back them up.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to take care of that guy. And you don't, if you're going to buy a rifle, I mean, like Cole said, you don't have to buy it from us, but ask some questions. And I always tell people, like, find somebody that's building for match shooters. Okay, I'm not talking about making sure you get a match grade chamber. Make sure you're getting a match quality job. Okay, so like if it's pretty safe to say that if you look at the companies that are building for like PRS shooters, F class shooters, FTR, and you get one of those guys to build a rifle for you, chances are you are going to get a good rifle. But like Cole, you want to tell them that story about Texas when you were down there? You started into that and kind of like just what did those customers experience when you were down there with those new rifles? Very
Well,
expensive ones.
yeah, they were expensive, and there were some issues with headspace and some different things, and they couldn't fix them. The only thing they could do was, take the rifle back, send it back to whoever did the chamber or whoever did the thing, and have them fix it. Now, that's fine, but I think they need to at least tell people that, hey, these aren't custom rifles. They're just, we buy the parts, we assemble them, and here's, a price. And they're usually cheaper because they don't have to do what we do at Straight Jacket. They don't have to have big freaking $100,000 CNCs. They don't have to have the $20,000 air compressor we just had to replace. They don't have to have all the reamers. They don't have to have all that stuff. So their overhead's a lot smaller than what our overhead is. So if you see rifles that are a lot cheaper than everybody else's, they're probably doing that same thing. Now, like what Nick said, I'm not attacking gun plumbers at all. If they're letting people know, hey, we just source these, we put them together, we build them, and they're honest with what they're doing. You know what I mean? But if they're trying to pull the wool over some people's eyes, like I've seen them do, and they're sanding stuff off and they're doing that, that's what I'm like, kind of have an issue there.
There's a lot of people doing that in this industry. And honestly, it bothers me too because I've had people call up here and they're like, "Hey, I think I talked to so and so. Are they there?" And it's like, "Well, there's only three of us here." "Oh, really? There's only three of you?" And yeah, you're like, "Yeah, there's only three of us here." "Oh, I thought you guys were much bigger because you had a website." Well, it's easy to put that. Uh, it's easy to make yourself seem like a bigger, more well-supported company than you actually are. And I don't like that. There's one action company in particular. I seen they keep putting up these posts about these. We just got this brand new machine, and and they post up a picture of a $1.3 million Mazak machining center that they don't own. They literally went down to the people that make the actions for them, took a picture of their machine, and put it up like there's some kind of hotshot manufacturer. And when you look up, like on their FFL where it's located, you see it's at a house, and there's no way that machine's actually going to fit in their garage because it weighs 40,000 pounds. It's I just think there's a little more honesty that can happen in our industry, and because of social media is a great tool to grow your business, but it's also a really good tool to make yourself seem like something you're not. We've never made any qualms about letting people see our operation back here, see what we actually do, what kind of equipment we run, how many people that work here. This is not a Fortune 500 company. I'm hoping you guys know that, because there's a reason. If we were that company, there's no way you'd be talking to me and Cole when you call
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, there's a lot of bigger companies. You got the Gunworks out there. You got these companies that they've done very well, and good for them. We're friends with a lot of those guys, and
Hmm.
we support them. They do their products, and we do ours, and we just kind of, in my opinion, what it comes down to anymore is the customer service and how you treat people. Because so many companies have the Haws, so many companies have the Mazak, so many companies have the little Grizzlies, and they do good work if somebody knows how to run them. A lot of people started on the old Grizzly press or the old Grizzly lathes, and a lot of them still use it, and it's fine.
Right here.
Um, but I think a lot of it comes down to their attention to detail, because some guys, like I've seen lately, I've seen a couple gunsmiths, I've seen their pictures, and I'm just like, holy crap. Like, they're going to end up hurting somebody because you're seeing there's no attention to detail. They're just trying to push product out and make a little money on the side to go on a hunting trip or something, which is fine. If that's what they want to do and that's who you want to, go through. And this wasn't supposed to be a bash.
No, we should probably pull
So
it back the other way
so
though.
yeah, so we just want everybody to know, to no matter who you go to, do your due diligence, ask them the questions, figure out what they're doing, figure out the products they have, and go into it with a little bit of knowledge. Me and Nick usually answer either one of us usually answer the phone, and we have conversations with people. Um, it's always us. Just one more question. Just
Just
one. Just
wait.
one
What?
more.
Just one more. I promise. Just one more.
It's like, good Lord. Don't tell me just one more until you're done, for hell's sakes. Randy Lucas asked, so it's not the chamber. What makes your rifles or some other builder's rifles so accurate? I think there's a lot of steps to this. One of them is, what barrel are they using? Um,
It
you
all
know,
starts with a good barrel.
you got to have a good barrel. Um, Here's the thing that we have done. Now, I could go out there and I could find a lot cheaper barrels, but
Oh yeah.
it's going to come back to bite us in the end, because we're going to start having more issues. I pay more. I don't have the margins that some of the other companies, or we don't have the margins that some of the other companies have, because we spend more on barrels. We could go a lot cheaper, um, but you'll see the quality difference in the exterior and the interior. You'll see the difference in the lapping. You'll see the difference in the concentricity in the outside. You'll see all those differences, and we didn't want to mess with that.
How
And
they
so,
load up.
right,
That's a big
right.
problem.
So we chose to stay with a little bit more, the benchmarks, the bar lanes. We chamber all of them, and we use all of them if we can get them. I mean, that's the big issue with barrels right now, is if you can get them fast enough.
Hmm.
But you start with your barrel. You start with, how you indicate, how you dial in, right? Somebody that's paying attention and their threads are right, their chambers look good. Everything is concentric, everything's through. Our reamers, how many chamberings has that reamer done? We're tracking that. We're trying to figure out, hey, after a certain point, we don't want to use that reamer anymore. It either needs to go be resharpened, or we need to switch it out. That's a big one. A lot of guys will just, Remington had that issue forever. They'd use the same reamer, and after a while, it got so out of spec that no one could shoot anything out of it.
Well, and I think some of that comes from the reamer companies. I
Right.
had a reamer company when I first started tell me that if I bought their carbide reamers, I should get 250 to 350 chambers out of a reamer. I've never in my life seen that We do order some of our reamers what we call Sammy Plus. So they are 1 to 1.5 thousandths bigger in diameter on all the cutting surfaces than the rest. And I was a little scared to do that at first until I realized it made absolutely no difference. But the reamer costs the same amount, but I am able to get about 10 more chambers out of said reamer without going out of spec, completely out of spec. But like you can do like this. What you guys are looking at here is a cutaway barrel. Uh, when we first set up our system, this is actually a reject. We cut almost 500 of these samples before we started using our CNCs and figured out, you know, how we were going to mix our coolant, what the Bix dilution rate needed to be, what type of sulfur additives we needed to put in and how much, what the speeds and feeds were going to be. What we learned a lot about, though, cutting them this way and really taking a good look is that, if your chamber looks a little bit rough down in here, this one does look, I don't know if you guys can see that very well, does look a little rough down in the bottom of the chamber here. That's not what affects accuracy. To be honest, you could have a big old gouge in there as long as it's not hanging up the brass as it's coming out of the chamber and being ejected. It doesn't make a hill of beans. The neck dimension, being allowing the neck to open up enough to get a clean release on the bullet, and the smoothness of the throat or the surface finish of the throat is a big deal. If that throat is really rough, it's going to grab the bullet. If it's too rough, it's going to destroy the jacket, is what it's going to do. So that's really our main area of focus, is up here in the throat and how that finishes. Now, if it looks a little bit rough, does it mean it's going to be a bad shooter? Absolutely not. Half the barrels I look in that I think are not going to shoot, 99 times out of 100, they shoot great. I've had so many people just tell me, dude, you are being way too picky about this. Let the barrel go. And for whatever reason, I just can't seem to get myself to do it. Doesn't mean we don't make mistakes. Of course we do. Heck, I got a barrel coming back just today. Once in a while we make a mistake, but we'll fix it, whatever it is.
Yeah. And I mean, there's so many things that make a good builder a good builder. How they interact with you. There's too many different variables. And here's the thing, there's too many builders out there. If you've got a builder and you're just not meshing with them, find somebody else. Hey, if you can't mesh with me or Nick, there's something wrong with you. But there's still other people out there. I mean, we're the shit. That's all there is to it. But
shit.
We're gonna get kicked off Facebook for the 13th time.
Here's the thing: like, we don't get along with everybody either.
Somewhere like
there are some customers that we've had.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
I mean, I'll just go into one real quick. I had a customer that this is a couple years ago, a few years ago. This guy's still all over the forums bashing us. He's actually a local guy. He ordered a suppressor. He wasn't happy with the wait time from ATF. He called me, wanted me to call ATF and bitch them out. I'm sorry, I am not bitching at an ATF agent, not for you, myself, or anybody else. And one night he called me just completely drunk and belligerent and started making physical threats. Well, if you do something like that to an FFL, especially in the society we live in today with the cultural problems that we're having, you are not getting a gun or a suppressor or anything else from that FFL, especially from me or Cole. At that point, you've clearly demonstrated that you have maybe not the right temperament to be owning something like that, and we don't feel comfortable selling it to you.
Well, the issue is Nick answered his phone after hours, so that was issue one. And now Nick is not doing that. So, we've had to cut back on that. The problem is we make ourselves almost too available for times. I've got a lot of people that message me on Facebook, and a lot of them I don't even look at because there's just too many places for me to try and keep track of to answer questions, and that's why we try to tell everybody either call us or email us, and then we can answer everybody in reasonable time. We get everything through, and I'll usually sit there at night and email back and forth, but I'm not going to call. I hate being on the phone. I don't know why. I just don't like it. But it's funny from a podcaster hearing my own voice all the time. I think I get sick of hearing my voice. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. But over on Instagram, I don't know if I want to go down this rabbit hole. Should the GAPPR be a production PRS rifle? I mean, we can go down this road till it's blue in the face. It's like the MPA PMR rifle. It's like, I don't know. I've always worried that we as a society, or in a gun industry, or in a race to the most, manageable price thing. But it's hard to say in the PRS because they just put a number on it and guys are trying to hit the number. I mean, that's all there is to it.
You mean for like the production level rifles?
Yeah, because I got to be 20. What are they? 24.99 or whatever. And I mean, I think with that rifle, you still have to screw it together and do all that stuff, right?
It's a kit. It's
right.
a kit.
So you still have to put it together. And I mean, you've got stuff out there like the Solace, it's super cheap. That's an okay action. I mean, it's not something that I don't think I'd go. I don't know.
It's not a custom action.
I'm spoiled when it comes to action. I don't think I'd go shoot it in a match. I'd be too afraid when it gets dirty. But it's a great action for somebody starting out. It's light years in front of what the Remington 700 was forever. I mean, integral rails, integral recoil lugs, they're so much better. Actions have got better, but that just kind of tells you how much as an industry we've learned and gained over the years. Remington would still be around and they'd be on top of everything if they would have just listened and changed bolt releases and a couple other things. They'd be on top of the game still, but they decided not to listen. And everybody just kind of surpassed them. They figured out what they wanted and they went past. But I mean, there's some good new actions out. You got the coup de grace. You got a lot of this stuff coming out that is starting to make it more available for the average shooter, because not everybody has $5,000 to $10,000 to dump into a rifle, And that's one thing that Straight Jacket's done is you'd be able to buy a barrel or whatever. I mean, we're going to start offering more barreled actions again. I've got a lot of, so if you're looking for an impact, I've got a bunch of them coming. 777s are coming, 737s are coming, and MBKs are coming. I'm having a constant stream of those coming through. The Falcors, we're going to do some stuff with them and have them come through. That no Falcor 7's freaking sweet action. And their LW7s are awesome for hunting. And there's some other ones that we're trying to work with to figure out what we want to offer and what we want to put our name to, because there's a lot of actions, there's a lot of barrels, there's a lot of stuff out there that we just don't really necessarily want to do. But that's on us to teach you guys why we would rather have those than something else. So we're going to work on that here in the next little bit. Brooks Isaac's one of our good customers. Brooks barrels. I haven't had that much
I've shot a lot of Brooks.
I don't know. Nick has. I know I talked to Brooks a while back and they're like 12 months because they're a small shop and they can't kick out as many, but I've heard good things about them.
Yeah, Brooks has always made a good barrel. Todd Hognett is huge with Brooks. He's always done a lot of promoting for those guys. The Navy, a lot of the NSW is using Brooks barrels right now. Brooks and Lilja are the two that they're and keep in mind and they're contracted. I don't want to get off on that tangent, but there's a lot of politics that go into having those contracts. That doesn't always mean that it's because of price or anything else. A lot of times it just comes down to who you know. But yeah, Brooks makes a great barrel. And some barrels, we've had some barrels that it's not about like, we've gotten good barrels from just about everybody. Even ones that you have heard that were really crappy barrels. We've got them, we've cut them, and they've shot phenomenal. And we've gotten barrels that are not so good. And for us, it comes down to consistency. If I was only cutting 2-3 barrels a month, I don't think I'd be nearly as worried about the barrel companies or the brand or whether it was cut rifled or buttoned or anything else as I am today, Cole and I have a ton of anxiety, especially when we go with new companies, because we call it the honeymoon phase, where the first couple you get are great, and then you get a bunch that are just not so great. And the trick isn't making one good barrel. The trick is making 1,000 good barrels. And knowing that when you go to sleep at night, your customer is sleeping as well because he's happy. And
Mhm.
that's a hard thing for us. So the companies that we use today have been proven to us year after year after year.
Mhm.
And we have a hard time looking outward from that, and we're going to have to this year. We're getting ready to make some pretty big decisions on how that's going to look, but we even with what we're getting now, we want to increase um, that reliability rate. We want to make sure that everything we're getting is just more and more consistent, because the reality is that the technology exists. It's out there. The QC tools, the measuring tools, the machines that are out there, the tool makers, everything has reached a level where the inconsistencies we see in barrels really shouldn't be happening as much as they are, in my personal opinion.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, with the equipment that we have nowadays to hold tolerances and everything else, I mean, they've got to be on point. And like I said, we could go with cheaper options for barrels. We just don't want to, because it's going to create more time for us in customer service issues. We know it. And in dialing in and everything else, because we can tell when it's a crappy barrel. Dial in. Nick is always calling these freaking barrels suck to dial in, and it's usually from a customer sending a barrel in. And there's quite a few barrels that we will not let you send in. We will not touch. We won't even let it in the shop. I got a jack handle for my handyman on my Jeep. That's what man might use that barrel for. And there's a few of them that are like that.
Yeah,
And
please don't send us a Paradigm barrel. Shit, did I say that out
well,
loud? Whoops.
Nick's freaking wound up about that stuff.
Whoops.
But there's a lot of good barrels. Dan Lilja, I knew Danny for a long, for a while. They built phenomenal barrels. It's amazing how these bigger names just kind of flood out everybody else, and um, it is what it is. Let's see.
PRS has done a good job of like promoting a handful of barrel companies. The three B's are your big ones: Bartlein, Benchmark, Brooks.
Mhm.
Bartlein, Benchmark, Brooks, and then it's Proof. And I think the reason it's Proof is because a lot of people are using their prefits because they're cheap. They're extremely cheap, and they just run them and toss them. Then you have Krager, Lilja, excellent barrels. K and P. There's another one.
Schillen,
Yeah, Schillen's been in the business for what, 60 years?
Schillen's been around.
And nobody talks about Schillen. Nobody. You
Mhm.
never hear anybody talking about Schillen anymore. They make one of the best barrels out there. Uh,
Mhm.
I mean, gosh darn. And then there's some new guys on the scene. Austin Ordain bought out
Hawk Hill,
Hawk Hill, yeah. And Sean
custom
was
rifle.
really well known for making awesome barrels. And if Austin Ordain is able to run those machines uh, like Sean did, and I'm sure he is, and he's got the backing of some really nice key figures in the industry, some partners even of ours, like Taste Treater over at Impact. I think he's going to have a really good, successful run. Whether or not he's able to scale to meet demand, that's yet to be seen, but we're definitely interested in talking to him as well. We're always looking for good barrels. We never seem to have enough.
Yeah, and that's going to be Austin's probably biggest issue, is just trying to figure out a lot of these smaller companies. It costs a lot of money to buy those big freaking machines, and they hit a point to where so many people are ordering, then their lead times go up.
Hmm.
Then they start going through the roof, and then everybody just goes to the next. I tell everybody it's the Amazon effect. We've all had the Amazon effect. We've all bought something, and 2 days later, it shows up on our doorstep, and that is not necessarily how this side works. I mean, we have a lot of people that order stuff and they call us in 2 days. Hey, where is it? Well, you call we build it to spec. We build it to whatever you asked for. We can't just there's a line. We can't just do that. So the Amazon effect can't necessarily build out on a custom side of things. Now you can go out on Brownells or wherever and you can buy something that somebody hurried and did whatever they did and get it that way. But some of those are hit and miss. Some of them are good depending on who did them. But I think that's kind of what we're trying to push is if you're going to spend your hard-earned money on something, make sure who's doing the work and what you're getting out of it. Let's see. We got a lot of other questions. Most accurate rifle, the carbon fiber. So we do probably, what do we do? Probably 50-1 proofs.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. This is kind of what we do differently is we look at everyone before we ever put a chamber reamer in it. And that kind of makes sure that, we do a little few spec details. We do some of that so that you're maybe not getting the best, because with Proof or any other company putting out as many barrels as they do, they're going to have issues. I mean, that's all there is to it. Any company that puts out that much stuff, there's always going to be one or two. And I think Proof has done a really good job, especially over probably the last year and a half, at their QC. Their QC's gone up. I know they had some lapping issues, but that's all with growth. They had growth. They had to change things. And as soon as you change something, you have to figure out how the hell to make it work. And I think Proof's done that. And I think in all the barrels that we've done recently, I better knock on wood. I don't think we haven't, I think there's one Proof barrel that we've had to send back in the last, 6 months, 8 months?
Yeah, I think it was like back in September we had one. Yeah, that Navy sniper had one that had to go back. But yeah, very minimal for the. And here's the thing, like going back to what you were saying, you hear this all the time about companies. Man, those guys are awesome. I got my gun back in like 3 days, and I love reading that because like it's cool. We got a new good gunsmith in the market, and then you're like, yeah, I remember when I got my first customer. Like I had that job out in 3 days too. But like we grew like on our end, we grew so fast. I was a pipeliner for you guys that don't know. And when I started this company, when I founded it with my son, we continued to pipeline and work nights for about 90 days. And within 90 days, we had to quit our jobs. And we had 2 Grizzly machines and a Tormach mill was all we had. And I mean, we had stores ordering 20, 25 rifles from us at a time. Man, it was a big learning curve. So you heard these guys are great. And then you heard, oh my gosh, these guys suck. Their lead times just suck. Like, what in the hell? These guys suck. They just can't get anything out. What? Yeah, we could have just ran 20-hour days, snorted up some meth and just went to town on your jobs and done a really crappy job. But that's what you hear about companies. It's like they either do really good in the beginning, and then they go to crap. And it's either they went to crap because their lead times got too high, or they went to crap because their quality went down the tube. Now, I fully knew that my lead times were going to get bad. I mean, there's times Cole and I look at the orders coming in, we know that our lead times are going to get bad. And we all, Cole and I always have the same stinking decision to make. Do we sacrifice quality or do we sacrifice the lead times? And I guarantee you we're going to sacrifice the lead times every single time, because the only thing that's worse than waiting too long for your rifle is waiting too long for your rifle and getting it and it doesn't work. That's the only thing worse. I mean, and all these other companies are going to have to make the same decision, and not just once. You're going to have to make that decision quarter after quarter after quarter after quarter. It's a continuous thing.
Excalibur. In the companies I've worked, and I'm not saying anything bad about Excalibur, but in the companies I've worked with, I don't think any of them use Excalibur. But I don't know anybody that's used them, and that I don't know quality on them. I have no idea.
We used a few of them when we first got started. When we first opened up back in 2017, end of 16, and they were actually pretty popular. You remember Eric Smith, right? Eric Smith turned me on to those, and we used a couple of them. I didn't have any problems with them. Uh, I do remember that the barrels, we had just done some 6 millimeter Creedmoors, and they burn barrels down pretty quick anyway, but they did shoot out pretty fast. But what they were making back in 2017 is probably not what they're making today. Companies evolve,
Mhm.
so I'm sure they're doing things a lot different now. But that's a good question. Maybe we need to talk to them. I have no idea.
Yeah, there was another company that I worked with when I was at Barnes because I tried to pull in every barrel that I could think of. And this company, I've seen a lot of sponsored shooters, and I know they're probably getting paid to sponsor this company. It's a barrel company. Dude, these barrels were the worst things that I've ever seen. They were underboard, they were overboard, they were all over the place. And this company's kind of, I think, trying to push back out. But it amazes me that where our industry is right now, not holding the tolerances and not paying attention to a lot of that stuff, they think that they're going to stay on top of their game and they can't. It's just like us. We're constantly having meetings every week like, hey, how do we make this better? How do we make this faster? How do we And if we're not evolving, we're just going to get ran over and left because this is evolving so fast. And
Yeah,
um I mean,
there's good
people are like,
companies out
oh,
there, really good
well,
companies out there.
people are like, well, nothing's changed in the long range game. But what a lot of you aren't seeing is how are they lapping? Hand lapping was everything. At Bartline forever, Tracy and Frank are good friends. And I'd always call him like, dude, how's that hand lapper? Does he look like freaking Popeye, one giant ass arm from hand lapping all day? And
Looks
they
like the
just laugh.
security guard at the baggage
But
claim at the
that
airport.
that guy at Bartline worked there for like 20 something years hand lapping barrels. Can you imagine that crap?
Yeah,
And he
he just
knew what he was
retired
doing.
last year, right?
Yeah, he's barely retired, and now everybody's starting to go to hydrolapping, and they're starting to go to all the lapping starting to evolve, and that's what a lot of you don't see at home is nothing's changed with the industry. BS, it has. Hone lapping within a half of a hair of a thousandths, and things
Yeah,
are evolving and things are changing, and
phones are
um,
amazing if they're used right. If they're
if they're
used
used
right, they are unreal.
And there's only a couple companies that do that now. So you're
Right.
going to see accuracy get better. We're constantly trying to take out that little bit. The biggest factor is still going to be the dumbass behind the rifle, right? I mean, it's all us. It's
Yeah.
if we read wind wrong, whatever we do, if we load wrong, it's still going to be us. So we build the most accurate rifles, and that's what a lot of people I keep hearing that. Well, we have a half MOA guarantee. I'm just like, look, guys, most people, I wouldn't say most, but a lot of people can't ever shoot a half MOA. So we have come to the conclusion at Straight Jacket, we're like, hey, we're going to do a satisfaction. If you're satisfied with the product, great. If you're not, then let's talk about either fixing it or changing it or doing whatever we need to do. But it's a satisfaction because there's so many people that have no idea how accurate that rifle is. They're just not accurate enough to shoot it. So there are a lot of changes going on within the industry to be more accurate. Yeah, Dave, we get this all
Oh,
the time. Next day, did it ship yet? Did it ship yet? Did it ship yet? Son of a. Mm.
so like I just looking back, as you're talking, it like cues my brain into thinking about this other stuff. But like looking back, when we first started, we never like even the chambers we were cutting, as much as people liked them, they weren't nearly as good as they are today. And I mean, the chambers we're cutting today are light years better than the chambers we cut 5 years ago. But the way they shoot is better, and it's not just because of the chambers we're cutting; it's because the barrels are better too. The barrels are, I mean, they've gotten immensely better. 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, I never would have dreamed of building this rifle right here and calling my customer and saying, "Hey, just go down to the hardware store and get you a box of you know factory ammo, and it should, you should definitely be able to shoot under a half minute." I I didn't honestly. It wasn't possible back then. It happened, but it didn't happen all the time. It never happened with consistency. I mean, you had to work a load. I mean, shooting 1,000 yards with factory ammo just it was such a taboo thing. But today, it happens every day on every rifle. And as we started moving things and changing our reamers and changing how we cut chambers, we were able to start telling our customers, instead of, how a lot of the companies do it, if you buy this rifle from me, this match grade rifle from me, I'll charge you $10,000 for the rifle, and you got to buy this special box of bullets that's $150 for 20. But it doesn't work without these special bullets right here, and you got to buy these from me. And we sat down and thought, like, let's just tweak everything so that we can get our customers into factory ammo that they can shoot 1,000 yards with, that they can shoot, very long distances with, consistency, you know, be able to shoot half MOA. I mean, Cole and I have went out and tested some of our barrels with M70 ball ammo, and we were able to get, 0.3, 0.32 minute groups with some of the crappiest ammo on earth. It's all in the system and how you put it together. But the evolution, like, that wasn't happening 10 years ago or 20 years ago. It just wasn't. Unless you got just a freak barrel.
I don't know what's going on with my connection. I don't know if it's mine or whether it's yours, but I can't even hear you. It might be my stupid internet that I pay way too much for that don't
I
get
was
any
wondering.
more.
Hey, Daryl Gentry, are you having I see your question there. Can you hear me okay? See if he posts that up. I'm wondering the same thing. What do you guys want to see from SHOT Show? For you guys that haven't been there, is there something that you guys are looking at? Some kind of a company released? Instagram crashed, it says.
Yeah, it cuts at an hour. So after an hour, it goes away.
Gotcha. Anything you guys can leave us in the comments, letting us know something you want us to take a look at, something you would like to see Cole do a review on. We could use that info from you, and maybe, just maybe, we'll cut in and do a feed for you guys over there.
Mm-hmm. No, and if you want to watch a lot of that stuff, Long Range Tactics is going to go in a lot of different booths and do that. So if you're not following Long Range Tactics, go do that. Dave asked Pipe Dream on factory guns, factory ammo.
Factory guns have come a long damn way too.
They have. But we need to put up. There's a couple brands that we need to put a hey, fix your X rifle. We can do that here.
It's just the consistency. I mean, when you go and you buy a custom barrel, custom rifle, you're not, people are going to argue with you and say, well, I don't know why you're going to go spend all that money on this. My Tikka will do the same thing, or my this will do the same thing, and I only paid $300. Here's the thing. You're buying the reliability. You're buying a product that runs good dirty. You're buying a product like what I was doing earlier this week that you can strap on your back in -4, take off on your snowmobile, cocoon in ice, and it's still going to work. You're buying the peace of mind knowing that you're not going to buy a lemon. How many of you guys have went out there and bought a gun and it was a piece of crap, and now you're stuck with it? You want to sell it, but you feel bad about selling it. The company's not going to take care of you. You're just a number to them. That's what you're buying when you get, and you're also buying a relationship with the company that you're doing business with. Because like I said in the beginning of the we will definitely get to Falcor, Dave, in the beginning of the podcast, is that it's not just us that make these rifles a success. It can't be. It's impossible. The success comes between the relationship between us and you. We have to give you not just the rifle, but we have to give you the education and everything you need to be successful with that rifle. That's why we offered free classes with our old Packlight rifles for so long, was because I felt like that was the only way that I could guarantee my customers that they were going to be successful in the field, is if I took the time out of my schedule to spend some time with you guys, teach you how to use them, and really make sure that you're getting the most out of your product. And I'm not sure what we're doing with classes this year. I know that question is going to come up because I've been getting asked a lot this week. Cole and I have to have some serious talks about that and some other things we have going on, but it's a joint effort. It really is.
Yeah, Dave, let me tell you this. If it's anything else like Jason and his team's done, it's going to be phenomenal. Everything Jason does is he I love him to death. He overthinks a lot of it, I think, but everything that he's done has just been, phenomenal stuff. So I'm sure it'll be good. We've got lunch with him. Him and Melinda are two of the best people you'll ever meet in the world. So
Absolutely.
they're good people. Um, let's see, baller on budget builds. I like Seekins. I'll give them Seekins. I'll give them love there. Love the Seekins. I think they have done better. Here's one of the biggest things that the Fierces, the Christiansons, all of those in that category, the biggest complaint has been customer service. All of them, everybody hates their customer service. And I think Seekins has done much better at their customer service than everybody else because, like I said, when you put out that many rifles, you're going to have issues no matter what you do. So I think they've done the best. Michael, yeah, well, of course we'll swing by the Aero booth. There's always something we got to see. Go see, they've got the Magnum now in short, and they've got 308. I think I just sold a couple more of those actions this week.
Yeah, we'll do that as long as you guys stop selling actions at dealer price. Ooh.
That's that other one called.
You looking for an endorsement, baby? Stop doing that.
Freaking, I don't know who it was. Sold a whole bunch of them for like $600 or 706. I think it was like six something. It's like, oh, that hurt deep.
Race
That
to
hurt
the
deep.
bottom.
That
Here's the
hurt.
thing: there's a lot of products out there that are hitting the market, and the industry had a big retraction over the summer.
Mhm.
Had a huge retraction over the summer, and a lot of companies were sitting on a lot of inventory and they dumped it. Like it, hate it, get mad at it, doesn't matter. Companies do what they have to do to make sure that bottom line's there, and I don't fault them for that because at the end of the day, if you can't take care of your house, you can't take care of your customers. So
Mhm.
we hopefully this year we see inventory levels stabilize to where we don't have these big ebb and flows, and we don't have to see the race to the top as well as the race to the bottom either, because it's not good for customers.
Mhm. Yeah, and honestly, for the price, um, the two that I've seen this year for the price come out that are the best options is probably the Arrow and the Coup de Grace. By
That coup
far.
de grace is hard to beat, man.
Holy shit, that's an awesome action, and we do a lot of work on them. The only problem is, of course, it hurts us as dealers when they sell them for what they were going to try and sell them to dealers for. So that's the big issue with some of these companies, and that's why you don't see some of the bigger guys using them is because their pricing structure. It hurts. We got to keep lights on, machines on, people. There's too much money to be lost, especially in some of that. There's a couple others that we've had issues with.
Yeah, you get into that holiday sale kind of thing, or they do a flash sale, and the next thing you know, you got your customers calling you saying, "Hey, this guy's selling the action for $100 less. Can you refund me the $100?" You're like,
Oh,
"Who's
that hurt.
selling it for less?" "Oh, the manufacturer." Well, I can't compete with the why am I competing against the manufacturer? But that happens a lot in this industry. And,
Mm,
those actions like the Zermatt Origin, our good friend James showed up this afternoon for his sixth barrel change on an Origin action. He's got over 12,500 rounds on that action. I put a picture of it on our Facebook page. You guys can take a look at it. It's pretty worn. I'll tell you what, that action still feels dang good. I mean, in fact, it might even feel better than it did. It's just so worn in, and I mean, these actions will go tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of rounds. Your Remingtons, your Chicas, and the lower end stuff. It's not. They're not going to do that.
yeah,
You
they'll
get
go
what you
through.
pay for.
You can pass them down 3 generations, and they're still the old Remingtons and that stuff that was built right. I mean, it'll go forever. You just got to change the barrel and maybe do a firing pin spring every now and again.
Yeah, and some of
Um,
those are 3 generations old, but they only got shot 10 times a year. So
right,
like,
right.
yeah, oh, I have my grandpa's gun. It lasted forever. And it's like, yeah, but it's only been shot 100 times. Of course, it's
Most
still
of them, the barrels rust out before anything else.
sure.
22 rimfire chambering. I know this was asked over on Instagram about the Curtises. Um,
I'll let you handle this.
We will
Much love, Chase.
we I love Chase. Chase is a good friend. I love Curtis's, but we've got our ass kicked by those stupid things. I know he's got to talk to Nick about setting a different headspace, but Nick tried a couple times off the drawings and we got our butts kicked. DI Precision, I know is doing those. So if you want to go to DI, our problem is there, and I don't know if there still is, was the firing pin issue. Something about them breaking or something. I don't know. I'm not following them that much, but it's just one of those things that it takes us so much time to do those one-off things that it's not really worth it.
Yeah,
We
we're
do
really
have,
not for that anymore.
we do have a whole bunch of 22 barrels coming in from Benchmark, and we've got a bunch of the shells. So if you know anybody with Rimex that wants one, we've got a whole bunch of those that we can spin up quick. The Rimexes are easy; we can do those. The Curtises they've just kicked our butts, and it probably is us just not understanding it, but we've been so busy that we haven't been able to sit down and figure out what's going on. Maybe we're going to meet with Chase at shop. Maybe we just need to sit down with him and go over that and figure it out. Cause we have recently been asked quite a few times for that one. So we'll get back to you on that one.
That we have to not use the drawing, and we have to basically run the end of the barrel into the bolt itself, which would make a little bit of sense. Unfortunately, the other thing about that barrel design, you can run it with extractor grooves or without, and it's preferable that you run it with extractor grooves. If I was using a SSY machine, it would be a lot easier for me to do that. And the reason is because I'm not running a C axis. So I'm not, I mean, I could pay for the upgrade real quick and do a C axis, but those extractor grooves need to be timed. And the problem with 22 rimfires is that everybody expects that the product is going to be cheaper because it's a rimfire. So they don't want to pay $1,000 for a barrel, and I don't blame them. But that's if I was to do a one-off and charge people by the hour, and I had to take it from one machine into the chamber machine and then over to the mill and then index, you probably pay about $1,000 for the barrel. And I think there's just probably better options out there for you. And I'm not allergic to your money by any means, but it just slows us down too much right now. It doesn't mean we might not do them in the future.
Right. And that's where, when I came from Voodoo, that's why they got rid of that extractor, because the biggest issue is when we put the rifle up, all that crap, because of the way the suppressors are designed, all that crap would come back down in the chamber, and then you could never close your chamber because it was a flat breech with an ejector cut. And that's why Voodoo went to the conical breech, because then it gave all that shit somewhere to go around that conical breech, which is, just one of the many things that we learned at Voodoo when I was down there when it first started. And the 22 thing, man, it's a whole nother realm of craziness. I never realized, how deep that rabbit hole goes. But I've got Voodoos now. We've got our 1022s that we sell now at Straight Jacket that freaking, if you want an accurate 1022, those little buggers will shoot points.
I happen to have one here.
Yeah.
I pulled the trigger pack out of it, but give everybody kind of a basic idea of what our new 1022s look like. We haven't got these up on the website yet, but we're thinking two models, right? We're going to have a target model that's set up in a chassis, and then a lesser expensive model that comes in a lightweight stock like a backpacker. These are going to be really cool, and they're a hell of a lot of fun to play with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're freaking fun as hell to shoot. Louise said, well, from what I understand, DI is changing a drawing to moving away from the cone to Voodoo light design. Moving away from the cone?
I'm not sure
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, here's the thing: the breach on a Voodoo versus a Zermatt versus a Curtis, they're all very different. Uh, but getting rid of going to that conical design so that the extractors can get over without having to cut the grooves in there, it's huge. Because here's the thing: on those actions, if you're hand fitting them, that's fine. When you're hand fitting, you can torque something on, you can put a top dead center ping on it, and line everything up perfectly after you take it apart and put witness marks on it. When you're trying to pre-fit for extractor grooves, if the pickup thread on the action is off by even like a tenth of a like a tenth of a degree, everything's screwed up and it's not going to work. Or you got to overcut them and make them look silly. And I don't know, if you can't do a really good job, I don't want to do it. I don't want my barrel going over to you guys and it just looks stupid. I hate that.
Man, people go online, they start dragging us through the mud, and that's why we just rather not do it in the first place. It's either got to be perfect or close to perfect, or we just don't want to do it. I mean, that's all there is to it.
It doesn't mean it's a bad product. It just means it's not for us. It's just not something we want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all those CZs have always been pretty sweet. They've been nice little setups. I mean, I still love my Voodoo, but the CZs, it's its own little animal. They're pretty sweet, and they fit a mold that a lot of people like to do. But I still love my Voodoos. Got a little bit of love there, but we've been going for an hour and 50 minutes. I gotta go to an NWTF thing tonight. We're playing bingo and winning guns, so I gotta go get my game face on.
Since I can't post this up online, I'm just gonna do this real quick. If you guys are looking for a 24-inch
6.5 PRC MBK Trigger Tech XLR with folder. Yep, that's gonna be a nice little setup for somebody.
This was a little extra that just happens to be available, but it can't ship till after we get back from SHOT Show.
But it's there, and it's on the website under in stock and rifles. So we do have that, and it will ship as soon as we get back. It's built. So
check out what I got, man.
What?
Oh, yeah. Who want to send these to? You want to pick some people?
Let's see. The problem is my freaking Instagram thing disappeared because we went over an hour, of course. Let's go random. Oh yeah, put a couple of those. If you haven't, the little Cartman guy is the best. Let's go Randy Lucas. Are you still here, Randy? And who else has commented a bunch? Let's go Jason Nickert. Oh yeah.
Son Golden, man, I miss you, buddy. I hope you're doing good. I haven't talked to you in a long time. I really miss talking to you, Sean. Give me a call one of these days, buddy.
Yeah, let's go Jason Nickert, and let's go with who did I say? Randy Lucas. Let's go with you two. If you listen, I have shirts. I've got a bunch of stuff I'm working on. So in the next couple weeks, if you're doing this, you're commenting, you're interacting, I'm going to pick more people out. We're going to send you some stuff. We're just trying to get going again. So, comment, let us know what you think. Talk to us. Jason, you and whoever, I can't remember who I said now. Randy, send me an email. Just send it to sales@straightjacketarmory.com. And when we get back from SHOT Show, we'll have Jen send you guys something out. So we appreciate you all. And of course, if you have questions, let us know. And please don't take today like it was a bash session, because it wasn't. We're just trying to educate. And Curtis's are good actions.
There's one right
Jason's a good guy. There's a lot of things out there. There's just little things that we want you to understand before you go into purchasing something that you just need to know, so that when you get it, you don't you get it from somebody else. So just little nods of ideas, and we'll post a picture of Chase, and we'll be good. So, and everybody else. So, and we do have. I will plug this for Chase. He did release a new lighter weight hunting style action. So I'm going to get one of those and try it out. So I think it was in that 21 or 22 ounce. So if you're looking for something in there in a 60 degree, those new ones might be good for
22 and a half for his new hybrid action. Yeah, it looks really nice. And I will say, let me just give a quick shout out to Chase, since we did kind of hurt him a little bit. I know you got to get going. I just put this thing together, well, mostly just because we could. Short little coyote gun. It's actually an SBR. This is a 14-inch barrel that's on this, but I built it on a Curtis Custom Valor, which does have, sorry about that, guys, the quick change system on it. What I will say is Chase's coatings over the last year on his actions have gotten phenomenally better. I don't know who he's using for a coater right now, but the coating on this bolt's dirty. It's been in my truck for a few days. You can see it's still luster's really good. And that's one of the things, that's a huge pet peeve of mine, is to buy an action and you run the bolt a couple times and it looks like it's been used for 5 years just from a couple of strokes.
Mhm.
That's one of my biggest pet peeves because it just doesn't look like a $1,500 action should look. These look great, man. We've actually the last 10, 15 of these that Chase has sent us have been fantastic. We've been really happy with them.
Yep.
You guys should definitely go give them a look.
Yep. So it is what it is. All right. Well, we're out. Hopefully you guys all have a great weekend. And if you need anything, holler at us, sales@straightjacketarmory.com, or give us a call. We're trying to keep the website updated, so there is in-stock stuff that we can ship when we get back. So go check it out.
Appreciate you guys.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Later.